Good morning. Welcome to Entrepreneurial Live Interviews with Connie Fuksa. I do this interview series because I feel that there's a huge need out there for people to understand the process that people go through when they decide to jump in the pool of being an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur is somebody who is either running a business, started a business, maybe running a business inside of a business, but all of the things that they go through, struggles, successes, from the very beginning where the innovation starts. And so I have met some incredible people that I've shared with you guys. And this lady, I just got the opportunity to meet a couple of weeks ago. I was introduced to her by another entrepreneur that I interviewed. And this lady has a very special story that I'm really anxious to share with you guys today. So good morning, Winsome Brown. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and talk about Lean On D and what it is that we do.
Yay. Well, that's exactly where I want to get started. I want you to tell us, first, I want you to tell us a little bit about Winsome. Tell us who you are, where you came from. Why did you get to where you are right now, this Lean On D, and what exactly is it that you're doing right now? Give us your story.
Excuse me. Well, it's an interesting journey. I actually started my career as an accountant. Yes, go figure. And my mom was diagnosed with early onset dementia. And that really changed my life. It really, put things in perspective for me and really what it is that we needed for my mom and her care. And as we went through the journey with her, we really realized that, there was just not enough resources out there for someone who is struggling with a parent that had dementia, and especially early onset, because we had no clue what was going on with her. So it really, that changed everything for me and my sister. So, and I started this business with my sister, Danielle, and she's a registered nurse, and we decided that we wanted to start something to help families like ours deal with dementia, senior care, things like that. So that's how we got started. So, from a totally different perspective from accounting now into the senior service business. And one of the things I want to talk about is that we are not a home health care agency, so we don't provide home health care services. The services that we provide are, we do a senior check-in, and that's a tailored program based on our clients' needs. So for instance, if they have some cognitive impairments, we would then tailor the program to meet that. If not, if they don't and they just want a regular check-in, we do that, and we bring education with us. And so that's our senior check-in. Then from there, we have the home safety assessment. And the reason for the home safety assessment is so that our clients can stay in their home longer. Because normally when somebody purchases their home, 20, 30 years ago, they're purchasing it based on their level then. As you age, you're living in your home, the home then becomes sort of like an enemy for you, because, the stairs that you used to run up, now you can't do that. Or the way you have the furniture placed, you can't do, those things are just hampering your everyday life. So we come in with the home safety, we come in with fresh eyes, and we show you how you can live better and safer in home, to keep you in home longer and to reduce falls. Because as you know, with seniors, when they fall, it can be detrimental to their quality of life. So that is one of the main reasons we have the home safety assessment. And then we have our Dementia Live service, which is a new service. And this service is near and dear to my heart, as you know, with my mom. And what that service does is, it's a live presentation, and then we actually bring the audience in to let them understand what it's like to live with dementia. So their senses are altered. So we have the headphones, the goggles, and the gloves, and we then ask them to do everyday tasks. And then they really realize that, there's things going on in their head, and they can't understand what you're saying. They can't see you if you come up from behind them, because with somebody with dementia, their sight is getting impaired. And a lot of times people think when someone has dementia, it's only a memory loss, but dementia affects so many different all of your senses. So it's important to make sure that we explain that to the audience, and they really get to feel and live it. And it really is like, it's a really interesting thing. And then we do some placements, but right now the placements are not the greatest because of what's going on with COVID. But so those are our services, and that's what we do. Oh, I forgot one, the doctor's visit. How can I forget that? That's actually my favorite. And with the doctor's visit, we actually take our clients to the doctor. So for instance, if the caregiver is busy, we'll go in, we take them to the doctor, we make sure they're comfortable, put them at ease, and we bring them back home, and just so that's like really one of my favorite services, because I spend so we're talking in the car, we're doing things with them, games, just to put them at ease, because a lot of times when somebody's going to the doctor, sometimes it's going to be bad news. So it's good that they have that sense of like, oh, okay, I'm relaxed, I'm not nervous, so it's very interesting.
Wow. I mean, I'm not even sure where to start. So many pieces of information there. But so I want to go back to the beginning of your story, because this is one reason I love to have people tell their story, because there's so many different pieces depending on who I'm talking to. But in your case, let's go back to this accounting thing for a second. Excuse me, my nose is very itchy. I think that means I'm supposed to have company or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's very itchy today, so I apologize. But so let's go back to your accounting. Accounting was your career, and you worked for someone else. You didn't own your own accounting firm, correct?
No. It was my career. I worked for 20 years basically in the industry. So yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to point that out, because it leads into this whole concept of starting a business, which is here at, a later stage in your life when something changed, you decided to start a business. And so the first thing I want to know is when you decided to start that business, I really need to know where that name of your business came from.
So my sister, Danielle, actually, she's a registered nurse, and really she was like spearheading everything, because for years after we lost my mom, she wanted to do this. And I was like, oh, Danielle, I don't know about this. And then, just life just happens. And I said to myself, you only get one shot. So, and she really made a compelling argument to us to start this business. And so the business is named after her.
After your sister. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Very good. And lean on basically like, your seniors that you take care of actually lean on you guys.
Exactly.
I got it. I like it. So I've been dying to know this ever since we first met. I honestly thought, well, maybe it's your mom's name. And then I heard your sister's name. So that's great.
My little sister, and she is a force to be reckoned with, because if she can convince me, the ultimate skeptic, to do anything, this little firecracker is a force. And unfortunately, she's not able to join us in the interview. But people always ask me, but with COVID, she's been so busy working. So, she's kind of like stepped back a little bit, because she really needs to be, she's needed in the hospital.
Well, and thank God that she's there and taking care of those people, because there's plenty of those people that need her attention. So please thank her for her doing that, and you taking over, all of the duties that you needed to in order for her to be able to step back. So that's pretty amazing too. So let's start talking about this whole concept of starting a business, because, obviously it's foreign to you. You've worked for someone else for 20 years, and your sister does convince you to do this after lots of talk and lots of convincing that this is what she wanted to do. So what does that look like? I mean, how did you say, and did you transition into it, or did you just jump out and say, all right, I'm not going to do accounting anymore, I'm going to start this business? So tell us a little bit about that part of it.
So it was one of those things where I've always actually wanted to start a business, and talking with my husband and my family, we decided that we are going to do this. And once we decided that we were going to do this, we were all in. So and that was really, really scary, because you have a job, you're getting paid every single day. now, you basically, the whole saying now is you eat what you kill. So if you're not out there working and getting new clients, you are not going to have a salary. So that was really scary. But for me, once we set our minds to do it, we weren't going to we were going to move heaven and earth to get this thing to be successful, because we believe in what we're doing and we know we can change lives. And so, it's not a matter of not doing now, because we've already committed to it. So, and just having that great support system with my husband to say, okay, babe, this is what you want to do, I will support you 100%. But there was a lot more to it than that, because then you have to get the business registered, you have to figure out about financing. So there was so much more to it than, those parts I knew, but what I didn't know and I didn't anticipate was COVID. And
Of course.
so when you sit down, and for me with an accounting background, I sit down and I do a forecast, and I say, okay, we're gonna get one client this month, two client next month, three client, and doing a forecast, and things don't work out that way because of COVID. Then you have to pivot and figure out, okay, what can I do? Because this is not what I signed up for. I thought it would be this, and this, but it's you've decided, we've committed, so we're going to make this work and figure out what we're going to do. So because we actually launched in January, and we started out gangbusters, and we had quite a few clients, and then COVID happened, and so we kept the clients that we had. But in March, I think we picked up one additional client in March, and then April and May, no clients. So what we decided to do with that downtime is, do some investment in our business system, versus saying, woe's me, what am I going to do? Because we had some marketing dollars set aside. So we said, well, we'll just we'll update the infrastructure. We worked on some booklets. Shout out to Kat, because Kat helped me with these booklets. So we sat and we figured out, okay, we don't have clients. So Danielle is in the hospital, and I had myself and two other young ladies. What are we gonna do? So we have to figure out, because I'm paying them. So I'm like, okay, I'm paying you guys. We have to do something. So we worked on the booklets. I had them do some certifications with John Hopkins on dementia. I did a couple of them myself, because these things are important to me, to make sure that when we get to the client, when we start bringing in new clients, we have the knowledge to do what we say we're doing. So we spend that time building up our knowledge base, building our infrastructure, and then in June we picked up 4 clients right off the bat. So yeah. So that was that was exciting, but there's, when things happen, it's hard to, as a business owner, it's tough, because you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, I literally remember, March 15th, and I'm like, oh my God, the phone is not ringing, nothing is happening. We wanted to go out to the churches and do the Dementia Live, and it's nothing. Right now you can't do Dementia Live because of what's going on. So it's an
really interesting point. So you guys actually started in January. That's what you had just said, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you bring up so many interesting points. So, COVID is a defining moment in all of our careers and all of our lives, how it's really affected. And it doesn't matter where you live. It has some definition on your life or your business, or both, depending on your situation. But the thing I wanted to point out about this is, you're talking about, something huge happened, and we're going to say it's COVID, but, this happens in business, not to this level, but it happens a lot. Something may change, if you were in the real estate market in 2008, the crash happened and none of us saw it coming. Well, some of us saw it coming a little bit, but that just upheavaled everybody's lifestyle. People that were in the real estate industry, people who were related to the real estate industry, people who owned houses, couldn't sell their house for what it was for anymore. So sometimes things happen in business, and figuring out how to pivot. I love you explaining that you had employees. First of all, that's a scary, scary thing, is to take on employees, but then to know you've got to pay them, and you've got all of these outside factors determining that you can't do what you're equipped to do, even though you were already doing it very successfully. So talk to me for a minute about, when you first started that business, you obviously had to think about things that you needed to get that business going. Obviously you had to have a tax ID number, you had to set up your company, you had to, set up tax payments and accounting and licensings and things like that. But then you decided to take on employees. That's a big one. Talk to us a little bit about that, because, a lot of people, that's one of the hardest things in business is, you're now responsible for other people's life.
Yes.
So not just your clients, but your employees.
So with regards to the employees, it was a very interesting thing because, Danielle knew a lot of people in the industry, and what we did with the employees were have social workers, and they were mainly doing the check-in service, and so we were doing it, having them as 1099 employees, so they weren't fully, I wasn't paying like taxes for them or anything like that. But these ladies had committed to me certain hours, and I felt compelled to pay them, because I'm like, oh my God, I had already asked these ladies to cut back on some hours because I have these contracts and I need them filled, in the hopes that I would have more contracts coming in. So it was really scary. And that was one of the things, I sat with my, I said to my husband, I said, oh my God, what are we going to do? Because I've already had these ladies, cut back on their hours to come and work with me. But, we got a business loan initially when we started the business. And so I had the payroll and everything set up so I could pay them. So it wasn't so one of the things too that people have to understand is when you're starting a business, you need to have some slush fund. You really need to sit down and make sure you understand exactly what your expenses are, and make sure that you have enough cash to cover that. Because a lot of the times people don't think about that. And normally, initially, when you're starting a business, the first 2 years, you're going to be operating at a loss anyway. So you need to have enough cash on hand. So that's how I was able to still continue to pay them, because I had enough money in my loan to cover that, because I knew that, just from my past business experience.
So, okay, good. So I love that advice, because, that's the thing is people, you never know what's going to happen. Yes, COVID is as I said earlier, a defining moment. So of course that made huge changes in everyone's life, but something's going to happen in business. So how are you prepared for that? And obviously having that discussion. Talk to us a little bit, because you and I talked about this a little bit offline, and I wanted to make sure we hit this point. Talk to us about your advice, your thoughts about deciding to run a business and what it takes. How, we talked about this a little bit, but people who have never done this before, even if you're not running your own business, but you're running a business inside of a business, you're a leader at a business, at an organization, people just don't understand some of these concepts that you're getting ready to share. And I want you to talk about that for a few minutes.
One of the most important things is to be prepared and know your subject matter. That is the most important thing. You have to always be an expert in whatever it is you're doing. What if it's a service? Be an expert in the service. If it's a product, make sure you're bringing the best product to market, because your brand, your name, your face is selling that service or product. And to me, I think that's one of the most important things people need to understand. And they need to do their research to find out, for instance, who is in that marketplace with you, who your competitors are, what your competitors are doing, and then how you are going to stand out. Because there's, for me, what I learned is there's a home healthcare agency. you turn around, you find one. There's so many of them, but we are not, so with the challenge that we face is we are not a home health care agency. So we have to always constantly remind people of that, and then then in turn talk about our services, and then, explain why it's worth having. So,
Mm-hmm.
so those are some of the things. You have to know what people are willing to pay for. And
Mm-hmm.
and it's their parents, so a lot of the times they're more willing to pay for, for the betterment of their parents, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's like somebody, people, it's just what people holds value, and you need to make sure you find that niche that, okay, this is a service I'm offering, this is how many of them is out there, and this is how I stand out as a business. And even for us, I do quite a lot of marketing. I market everywhere. I market on Facebook. I market everywhere, and I always have a specific theme behind my marketing. I don't just throw my name out there. I have specific things that I do. So I write. We have a column. We've written articles, and we've put them in the newspaper. I publicize that. So when I do things, I publicize it. I don't just do it and just hope it's going to stick. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
and even, you might do, for instance, when we just started out, we did some mass mailing, and I got nothing from that. But those are some of the
Mm-hmm.
things that you have to realize. You're building the brand, especially when you just start your business. You're building the brand. So a lot of the marketing you may not see right now, but it will come back to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and this is all really good, juicy information. I mean, really helpful, good stuff. I mean, I love every piece of it. And a lot of what you've talked about are not things that entrepreneurs have talked about on our series before, which is really interesting. I just love the startup concepts that you have. One of the things you shared with me offline about running a business, though, that you found to be very different is you're always on.
Oh,
Talk
yes. Oh, my
for a
God.
minute.
Yes, I'm always on. I'm always working. So even if I am not at a client, I am reading some journal about dementia, or I'm reading something about the latest fraud that's happening with seniors, or I'm doing paperwork. Last night I was invoicing. Tonight I have to make sure that that the direct deposits are going out. So you're always working. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what people don't understand, because a lot of times people say, oh, I have my own business, but I get to call the shots and the time I work and things like that. You may be able to call the shots when you're scheduling an appointment for a client, but you may not have the luxury of calling the shots when, things are due.
Yeah.
So you always have to keep that in mind. So yes, it's great to say I own my own business, but there's a lot more to it than just what the clients are seeing. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to worry about the attorney meetings, and the accountant meetings, and all of these other miscellaneous things that comes with running a business. And
Yeah.
again, you're just as good as your words. So if you say to somebody, I'm meeting you at 10 o'clock, you better bloody well get there at 10 o'clock. And my
Yeah.
thing is, I'm going to get there at 9:30 just to be sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because again,
You're absolutely right. And this concept of running your business and all the things that go behind the scenes, I think this is one of the pieces that I think a lot of people that are jumping into the entrepreneurial pool don't always get. Like, they have a great idea, or people who aren't doing that, who see you from the outside and go, oh, you own your own business. You can go play golf all day. You can go to the beach, whatever. You probably get to go to the beach a whole lot less now than you would have back in, well, let's say this time last year, because in January, of course, you weren't going to the beach in Maryland. But this time last year, you were on a totally different playing field, because
Oh,
you were working
definitely.
for somebody else, and you punched a clock and you walked out and you were done. Now you're working most all of the time, because there's so many things that go into your business that don't have anything to do with what your business actually does.
Exactly. And that's what people really need to understand. There's so much more to it than the service that you're providing. And you have to be able to do all of those well, not just providing great service, but all the other things. And one of the things that people have to understand is too, you don't need to know how to do everything. Just hire good people to help you do some of the stuff. So that's one of the key things as well, because nobody is going to know every single thing. I don't know every single thing. And I make sure I surround myself with people that knows more than me. That's the most important thing. You have to have a great support system because, for instance, if I need to do something and I say, Kat, just read this over to make sure it sounds good, because you want to make sure that you're presenting your best foot always. And so surround yourself with good people and don't be afraid to
I
spend
love that.
money.
Yeah, I love that advice. Let me just say, Kat Harvey is a lady who does copyright work and writing work. So that's who Winsome is referring to. And I actually do use Kat for a lot of things too. But you make a really good point here that I want to point out we talked about employees earlier and you need people to help you do things. But one thing I think that people have a tendency to mistake when they go into this entrepreneurial journey is they feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have any money or I don't have the whatever, and I'm just going to do it all myself. And that's probably the worst advice. You need to be really good at what you're doing in your business and then hire really good people to take care of the things that you don't know how to do or that you're not good at, because those things will bog you down and then you won't be good at what you're actually doing for your business. That's what I hear you saying, right?
Yes, I agree 100%. That's exactly what I do because I can't do it all. And Danielle can't do it all. So we have to be able to reach out to our attorney if things go wrong and things like that.
Right, of course. So I wanted to touch on one other point. You talked about your husband being a great support system. One of the things that I think people need to understand in the entrepreneurial journey too is, this is one of the reasons that I started this. One, because I want to share great stories about amazing people like you, that, saw something and said, all right, I'm going to take this leap and we're going to make this happen. But the other thing is, we're talking about having good people working with you. We're talking about knowing what your limits are and bringing those people in. We're talking about things that go into running the business. But one of the really important things that a lot of people don't understand on the world that is not entrepreneurial is having good support systems, whether, like you, my husband is 100% very supportive for me. And I thank God every day that he lets me have harebrained ideas and do all my own thing. And he's a very, mellow kind of, sure, whatever you want to do, I will support you and I'll be there. But so obviously you have a similar situation, but also, if somebody doesn't have that, having people in your circle that you've met that you trust or resources that you could ask questions to. This is one of the reasons I started this series. So talk to me a little bit about that, because obviously you touched on it with your husband and you maybe have some of those other kinds of support that you can just reach out to.
So yes, my husband is my ultimate cheerleader, and in his eyes, I can do no wrong. But
very lucky lady.
I do have a business coach, and Mark Hager, and I work with him because I don't know everything, and I need Mark to say, hey, do this interview, make sure you do 4 interviews and set goals for yourself, and have that elevator pitch ready to go, and he goes over things with me. And so again, no man is an island, and you need somebody, because honestly, in March, when everything came at a halt, I was like, what the heck am I going to do?
Right.
And I happened to be reading the Certified Senior Advisor's Journal, and Mark wrote the story, and I called him up because he understood my audience, and he understood what the issues were, and that's important, because I needed somebody to understand my business. It's hard to say, okay, I'm going to get a coach, just a regular generic coach. I didn't do that. I got somebody that was in the senior space, and they understood, the issues and the roadblocks that you're going to get. So, he has been incredibly helpful to me, and just to tailor my message and what it is that we're trying to do, and how to reach our families and our seniors.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that is super wonderful advice. I mean, I couldn't have even thought to tailor that even better, but that was fantastic advice. So Winsome, as we wrap up here, share with us, somebody is watching us and, getting all of this good information that you're sharing. What's a go-to piece of advice you have, or something that always just brings you back to where you need to be if something gets a little hairy, or what your thought is that you could share with somebody else pretty quickly? Here's something that you got to make sure you do if you're going to do that.
Well, you have to make sure you do your research and understand exactly what you need to know to run a business. You have to make sure you have the proper financing in place, the knowledge base to run the business. And then my go-to thing is always just educate yourself, because that's the most important thing.
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. So Winsome, if somebody wants to find you after today, because obviously we all have aging parents, what a great niche you provide. I mean, I'm working, I can't take my dad to the doctor, and you do that, and you do it in a way that he feels warm and fuzzy. Or you come in my house and say, hey, I'm moving my dad in. How do I move things around so I make sure he's taken care of? Or the dementia class, which I absolutely love. How cool is that? I mean, that is so innovative in the respect that it makes so much sense to me that you would set it in a way that I can now understand what he's really feeling or seeing. So, and not that my dad has any of those things. I was just sort of using that as a description at the moment, but fantastic. So please tell us how people can find you after today, because what an amazing service you offer. And hopefully we can get some people that can work with you and get their seniors taken care of.
So they can find us. Our website is leanond.com. Our phone number is, I'll give the 1-800 number. It's 1-800-413-8733. And that rings directly to myself, Danielle, Lisa. So that'll ring directly to a live individual. We don't do the whole. Now we're live and in color.
Nice. How wonderful is that? Because if somebody's in need of your assistance, they're floundering and they're like, I don't know what to do and I need help. So that's fantastic. Very good. Well, we're going to post that information in the comments. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, guys, I want everybody to know, obviously we've been broadcasting live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're also going to post a link to the live as soon as we're done in LinkedIn. So, if you found any value in what Winsome is sharing with you, or you want to reach out to her, it's all going to be there. Please get in there and share it so others can see what we're talking about. This journey was certainly not something that she had planned on, but it's turned into a really fun and exciting business. And she even told me offline how much fun she's having with this. So it's really cool to get that feeling. So also, if you want to get on our Entrepreneurial Live series, reach out to me anywhere, ConnieFuksa.com, through Facebook, through LinkedIn. Any of those are wonderful places to do that. I'd love to talk to you about your business in your interview, because you probably have an amazing story like the lady we talked to today. Also on my website, ConnieFuksa.com, there's lots of tools and resources about how I can help you be able to share good information that you have in your head that you've learned about your business, because people want to know what you know, not what you do. And I help you figure out, get organized, and tell that story in that way. So it's been my pleasure, Winsome, to have you on today. Thank you so much for being with me.
You're welcome so much.
Awesome. All right, guys, we'll tune in for our next Entrepreneurial Live interview. Stay tuned. Watch Facebook and LinkedIn so you can see what's coming up next. And for now, we're going to say we'll see you soon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.